I hate when I'm right about bad predictions. But here we are. Tariffs are officially slamming the gaming industry like a sledgehammer, and Nintendo's feeling the heat first. And when I say brutal, I mean it.
Donald Trump's sweeping new tariffs on all imports into the United States. China has hit back today, announcing an extra 34% tax on all American goods being sold there. They've accused the US of bullying and endangering the global trade order. And in the last few minutes, Donald Trump has accused China of panicking in their response.
Sweeping tariffs across the entire globe. Asia, South America, Narnia, Arendelle, Wakanda, Bachelor Nation. If you can imagine it, Trump slapped a tariff on it. And today, the reviews came in.
Carnage on Wall Street.
Markets falling, tumbling.
Stocks plunging.
Down, down, down. The Nasdaq's getting crushed. Small caps are getting crushed.
This is a shock to the system.
It is ugly out there. Worse than worst case scenario.
Stocks are getting slashed and burned. $2.5 trillion vaporized.
$2.5 trillion vaporized.
New Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is speaking about President Trump's tariffs.
So, tariffs are officially hitting the gaming industry, and it looks like Nintendo's feeling the heat first. The Switch 2 is priced at $450, which is already a lot steeper than the original Switch's launch price. And now pre-orders are on pause because Nintendo's trying to figure out how these tariffs are going to affect their profit margins. And just to break it down, these tariffs aren't just a slap on the wrist. We're talking 34% on goods from China and 46% from Vietnam. That's brutal. And considering a lot of the components and manufacturing for consoles are based in those areas, it's no surprise Nintendo is hitting the brakes. Now here's the kicker. Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, they all take a loss on hardware sales just to get their systems into as many hands as possible. They make their money on the software, games, subscriptions, all that good stuff. But if they're getting slammed with these massive tariffs, it's either going to eat into their profits or get passed along to us. And guess what? With a $450 price tag and games like Mario Kart World hitting $80, it feels like we're already paying the price. And look, this isn't just a Nintendo problem. If this sticks, it's going to affect everyone. Sony, Microsoft, PC parts, accessories, you name it. It could reshape the entire gaming market for years if companies are forced to hike prices or cut corners to make up for the tariffs. Should gamers be worried? Yes. At least if you're in the US and thinking of grabbing a new console. This could just be the beginning of higher prices across the board. The PS5 is primarily manufactured in China, and with the new tariffs, 54% on Chinese imports, Sony is facing increased production costs. This could push the retail price of the PS5 higher. Some estimates suggest that consumers might see an increase of up to $200, depending on the model. Nintendo's upcoming Switch 2, set to launch on June 5, 2025, was initially priced at $450. However, due to a 46% tariff on imports from Vietnam, where the console is produced, Nintendo has delayed US pre-orders to assess the impact. This suggests the price could rise further, potentially exceeding $500. GPUs, essential for gaming and high-performance computing, are also affected. Manufacturers like Nvidia and AMD are facing increased costs due to tariffs on components sourced from China. This could lead to price hikes of approximately 10% on GPUs. Laptops, predominantly produced in China, are subject to the 54% tariff. This could result in price increases of around 10%, meaning a laptop that previously cost $1,200 might now be priced at approximately $1,320. The Trump administration has reintroduced a 10% tariff on tech imports from China, and companies like Acer are already making it clear that those extra costs will be passed directly to consumers. The CEO of Acer put it bluntly, "We will have to adjust the end-user price to reflect the tariff." That means if a laptop was $1,000 before, expect it to be at least $1,100 now. And that's just the start. There There are other proposed tariffs, 25% on semiconductors, 50% on some automotive and pharmaceutical imports, and even talk of a 100% tax on Taiwanese chips. Why does this matter for PlayStation? Well, while Sony manufactures the PS5 Pro in Japan, key components like memory chips, GPUs, and cooling systems come from companies that rely on Chinese factories. If those parts suddenly cost 10%, 25%, or even 100% more to import, Sony has two options: eat the cost, which, let's be real, they won't do, or pass it on to consumers. This isn't just about Sony either. PC Partner has relocated its headquarters from China to Singapore, and Acer is weighing new manufacturing locations. But shifting production isn't a quick fix. It takes time, costs money, and often leads to even higher prices in the short term. And here's another issue. The gaming industry is still recovering from supply chain disruptions caused by the pandemic and ongoing geopolitical tensions. Chip shortages might not be as bad as they were in 2021, but adding tariffs into the mix could easily bring them back. If chip makers decide it's too expensive to keep production where it is and try to move elsewhere, that disrupts supply chains again, leading to delays and, yep, you guessed it, more expensive hardware. There's also the CHIPS Act, which was supposed to incentivize semiconductor production in the US. But Trump has been openly critical of it, saying foreign chip manufacturers didn't need money and should just build factories with their own cash. That's not exactly a reassuring statement if you're a company deciding whether to invest billions in US manufacturing. Now, some people might say, okay, but Sony isn't Acer. Can't they just keep their prices steady? Sure, in theory, but we've already seen companies like Microsoft quietly raise prices on Xbox consoles and Game Pass in response to market conditions. Sony has also raised PS5 prices in several countries since launch. If component costs spike because of tariffs, the PS5 Pro's $700 price tag might not last long. And this isn't just about PlayStation. Every piece of gaming hardware, PCs, GPUs, motherboards, even accessories, could see price increases. So, if you're thinking of upgrading, now might be the time. Yeah, it's wild when you start looking at the bigger picture. Everyone talks about how gaming prices haven't kept up with inflation, and that's true. Game prices have pretty much stayed around $60 for decades, even as the cost of everything else has gone up. But now, with these tariffs, we're facing a reality where hardware could get way more expensive, and that's going to create a weird imbalance in the market. Think about digital games. One of the big arguments in favor of digital was always that it cuts out the middleman. No manufacturing, no shipping costs, right? But if the hardware to play those digital games suddenly costs hundreds more, it doesn't matter if the game is $70 or even $100, because the barrier to entry just got way higher. And here's the thing, games haven't kept up with inflation, but development costs have. Modern AAA games cost way more to make than they did 10 or 20 years ago. But while movies, for example, have gradually increased ticket prices over time, games stayed relatively stable. The recent jump to $70 for next-gen games was long overdue, but even that's not keeping pace with the rising costs. Damn, man. It's like everything's up in the air. The way things are looking, the tariffs aren't just messing with prices. They're shaking the entire system. The US dollar's taking hits left and right, inflation's creeping up, and these new tariffs are like pouring gasoline on an already burning house. Thinking about what a PlayStation 6 or next-gen Xbox would cost, I can't even put a number on it. $1,200? $1,500? Honestly, it could be worse. With production costs skyrocketing and companies forced to jack up their prices, there's no telling where it'll end. And that's if we even get those consoles stateside. What if companies just decide it's not worth the hassle or the cost? Everything feels way more unpredictable than it's ever been. It's like we're not even just talking about gaming anymore. This is bigger. I feel like we're watching the whole structure of global trade break down in real time. So, yeah, I don't even know what to tell you. Are we heading toward a reality where consoles like the PS6 or the next Xbox are luxury items only the wealthy can afford? Or worse, maybe the US just gets left out of the loop entirely? Right now, it feels like anything could happen. But hey, I'm curious. What do you think? Are we just blowing things out of proportion? Or is this the start of something way more serious? If you want to be ahead of all the gaming leaks and news, specifically PlayStation news, time for you to subscribe. And as always, a like on the video is very much appreciated.